Hey, rock stars, if your fab shop's overwhelmed or your supplier's missing deadlines, that's not just frustrating, it's costing you real money. That's why you call HyperFab. Based in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and trusted across North America, they deliver custom metal fabrication for industries where precision and speed matter most: construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and agriculture. From fiber laser cutting and CNC bending to welding, assembly, and finishing, they do it all in-house with fast turnarounds, tight tolerances, and no handoffs. One prototype, full production, no problem. HyperFab shows up when others can't and delivers when others don't. Head to www.hyperfab.com or call Colin Harms at 1-403-308-3308. Fabrication without compromise. That's the HyperFab edge.
I hurt my back and it was the strangest injury. And then I was mentally in a weird place. I was stressed, and then I physically got hurt. And then identity I started to think was, oh my God, am I going to lose it? I'm physically injured. I can't get somewhere. I'm always need to be physical, and then that brought me down a worse spiral. And then I couldn't get out of it, and it just got bad. My injury got bad. And then I started to worry about everything in my life. Like everything started becoming like a worry, and OCD started coming that I never had before. I had electric shocks going down my body. I thought I was dying. Like there was this weird, I had no control.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 298 of the Business Development Podcast. And today it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome Jake Karls. Jake isn't your typical business leader. He's an actuary turned modern day Willy Wonka, an unapologetically bold entrepreneur who thrives on human connection. As the co-founder and chief rainmaker of Midday Squares, he's helping turn a kitchen table dream into a multi-million-dollar chocolate empire, selling over 47 million bars and generating 30 million in revenue, all while growing at an astonishing 40 to 50% year over year. But he didn't do it by following industry norms. He rewrote them. Jake's superpower lies in building relationships, crafting compelling narratives, and proving that authenticity isn't just a buzzword. It's the foundation of a brand that stands out in one of the most competitive markets. His approach to marketing is unfiltered, raw, and refreshingly real, turning Midday Squares into more than just a product. It's now a movement. But Jake isn't just selling chocolate. He's selling a new way of doing business, one that prioritizes radical transparency, emotional resilience, and relentless storytelling. Whether it's breaking records at Costco, captivating 17 million organic LinkedIn views, or raising 17 million in venture capital by building in public, Jake is proving that bold storytelling beats traditional advertising. A Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur and an EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist, he is redefining what it means to scale a brand without losing its soul. He's not here to blend in. He's here to shake up the industry, challenge conventions, and show the world that being yourself is the ultimate business advantage. Wow. I can't even say it, Jake. I am absolutely honored to have you on the show today.
Kelly, you're an absolute rock star. That was pure momentum, pure energy. I'm fired up to be here. I'm excited to get deep with you and have a good time. And building a business is tough, but there's so much fun to it as well. So I'm excited.
I love it, dude. I've been following you for years, like literally years. Before I think I launched the show, I've been following you. And honestly, it's been a dream of mine to have you on the show. And it's been a
What?
long slog and it's been a lot of back and forth to make it happen. But honestly, I'm super psyched. And I just I love the way that you approach business. I love the way that you handle yourself on social media. And I love the way that you just dance like no one's looking, man.
Well,
I love that about you.
dancing reminds me of being a kid, and I think that more of us need to be kids in both business world and in personal life as well. And Kelly, I want to say congratulations to you. 298 episodes is a lot, and that's not easy to get done. And also congratulations to all your listeners for being along the journey. And I'm excited to be the 298th. I would have liked to be 300, but it's part of the game. 298 still sounds sexy.
298 is pretty cool. And actually, this puts you out right when people are thinking about chocolate, actually. It's going to be right before Christmas of 2025.
I
So
love it.
people are going to be pumped and filling stockings full of midday squares. So that's the call to action here is go out and buy like 20 midday squares and toss them in your kids' stockings. They're going to love them.
How about buy 100? No, I'm kidding.
100.
I'm kidding.
There you
I'm
go. You're
kidding.
going to need lunches, man. You're going to need lunches.
You're going to need your midday snack. You're going to need your midday snack. Your kids are going to need it. Everyone's going to want it. It's all good vibes, but Merry Christmas, I guess.
Yes, yes. Well, Jake, dude, you're a family business, not just a family business, like a friggin' rock star family business. I wanna know the whole story, man. I want you to take me back to being a kid. Who is Jake Karls? Were you always an entrepreneur at heart? Were your family entrepreneurs? How did you end up on this journey that led you to today?
So I think it's super important to note that I've always seen entrepreneurship. So I've been around it. My father started a business a long time ago and worked his bum off to build it for 30 plus years and, traveling, 6 months across the world, at times. And I saw how hard work can really, there's no limit to the hard work. Once you do it and you execute and you believe in something, no matter how hard it is, you can achieve some sort of dream of yours. There's a potential, there's a possibility. It might be small, but there's a possibility. And, seeing that growing up and then going to school and really not doing well in school, I was like, I was probably bottom of the class in terms of academia, but I was always the fun guy. Like I was the one pranking everybody, class clown, having the time of my life. And I thought high school was a playground. And that was until grade 11 and where you graduate in Montreal. And, the principal told my mom that I might not graduate because my grades were so bad. And in that moment, I kind of felt like this weird feeling of life. I was having the time of my life for the last many years. And then now I feel like a kind of loser because I'm like, wait, every one of my friends is going to move forward. Every one of my acquaintances is going to move forward in quotations in life. And I'm going to move backwards. So maybe being the class clown, being the fun person, being authentically myself was actually the wrong strategy. And that moment I questioned everything that I believed in prior. And I was like, I need to follow the rules. I need to follow the herd. I need to be like everybody else and be average. And I ended up taking that and I said, I'm going to study really hard. I'm going to work my bum off in school, get a job, hopefully have a family one day. And that's it. That's all I need to do. And I'm playing it safe and it's all good. And there's no judgment. That's a great life. There's no negative to that.
Yeah.
But inside, I felt something uncomfortable throughout that process. I felt like I wasn't being me. And I went to school. I went to business school after, and then I studied to be an actuary. And I chose actuarial science not because I wanted to do it, but because I wanted to prove to everyone I was no longer, in quotations, the less smart person, right?
Yeah.
And even though I hated what I was doing, it's a very hard program. And, shout out to the people that do actuary. They're brilliant. When in the third year, when I applied in the summer to every investment bank or insurance company, I got rejected by 36 first round interviews and I couldn't make it through. And I just didn't fit in. It wasn't for me. I wasn't being authentic. I was trying to play someone else's game that they were doing it a lot better than I was. And in that moment, I was sulking on my parents' couch, and I'll never forget this. I was in my parents' house. I lived there, 21 years old, no job, failing in school. And I was flipping through the channels, sulking like a baby, and I saw Shark Tank. And I saw this guy, middle-aged guy, pitching his dream. I don't know, he had 2 or 3 kids. He had 2 mortgages on his house. He could barely pay for his life, but he was so fired up. He was so energized. He felt this momentum. And I was watching the TV and my eyes kept going closer and closer. I'm like, whoa. And I was like attracted to this energy. And I was attracted to this momentum. And I was like, in that moment, I dropped out of the actual program. I said, I'm stopping to play the game. I'm stopping to follow the herd. I want whatever this guy's on. And I pointed to the screen and I yelled. I said, I need that. And all that he was on was, he was living what he believes his purpose was or his passion. And he thought he could make it happen. I don't know where the business is today. But the truth is, in that moment, he inspired me to say, you know what, I'm going to try something I like for the first time in 10 years. And that was when I basically said, I'm done playing another game. I dropped out of the program. I graduated with a financial economics degree in the end, but I ended up opening my first business, which was a fitness business. I loved fitness at the time, and I ended up making a ton of money doing it. I had so much fun, did it for 3 years, then did a second business after that because I lost passion for fitness. I launched a party business where I went to throw parties on college campuses and sell clothing, failed miserably, but literally fell to my head, all my ass, down to the drain. And then my sister and brother-in-law approached me and they're like, hey, you want to join Midday Squares? We're about to launch this chocolate bar company, Better For You chocolate bar company, and we need you to blow it up, be our third founder, and make as much noise as possible. And I looked at them, I said, oh, you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your effing mind to start a chocolate bar company. You got to be delusional. Yeah. There's so many chocolate bars. There's 40,000 products in a large supermarket. How do you expect your chocolate bar to stand out? And they said, that's your job to do. And I looked at them and I said, I just came off heartbreak from an ex-girlfriend. Best decision that she made. It helped me a lot in life. I was kind of feeling depressed. I just closed my other business. I lost all of my money in that business and I had nothing else to do. So I was like, you know what? This will keep me busy. I'll dump the rest of my money, move back to my parents' house and take my one last risk. And that's been the last 6.5 years. That was 6.5 years ago.
Wow. And like, just for the record, are you 32 now?
31.
31.
Started this when I was 25.
So that's crazy. So basically 10 years ago to right now was the moment, was that like entrepreneurial switch. And look at what you've done in 10 years.
Well, Kelly, it's been a decade. Yeah, that decade's been insane. Like the failing I've done, the learnings, the experience, the good, the bad, the ugly has really happened. I've changed as a human 100%. And I have different perspective on a lot of things. Yeah. But I think what was critical is you don't just need to be an entrepreneur to go through that. You could be anybody in the world. You could be in a career, or you could be there's no one better than the other. I think that it's just entrepreneurial allowed me to experiment things that, I couldn't get a job for at the time. So I just tried it myself. I took on a massive risk, but I have some friends that inspire me every day. They are killing it in their careers and growing and having so much fun. So I think people like to say that, I hear this all the time, is, oh, you need to be an entrepreneur to have this freedom. That's bullshit. That's bullcrap. No offense. You can have the freedom and the purpose within a career, or you can have the freedom and purpose within an entrepreneurial journey, or even being unemployed. As long as you choose to do what you want every day and wake up feeling alive, then you're winning. It doesn't matter how much money, how much success. I think that that's success, is the freedom and the idea that you wake up alive, excited every day is a winning formula.
Absolutely. And I want to, at some point in this conversation, get to balance. I like to talk to, all my founders about work-life balance because I know I call it bullshit, but I know a lot of them do find it. Here's the thing. I've found a lot of founders say, yeah, I did achieve work-life balance. It took me 10 years to get here, went through a divorce. I don't talk to my kid, but hey, I got work-life balance. And you know what? They probably do. I don't think it's impossible. Like you said, I think it maybe falls a bit on a mindset. But, before we kind of go down that journey, and something else, I want to talk to you about as well, is just resilience. I know that's something that you hammer, and I'm totally right there with you. Like, as somebody who, frankly, has slogged it out to get to where I'm at today, like, there's been many, many days where I was like, I do not want to record today. Or I had a horrible screw up and I screwed up the entire recording and I had to redo it. And you're just sitting there thinking like, oh my God, why did I choose this? And that's entrepreneurship. I think many of us find ourselves asking ourselves, why did we choose this? But, it's so worth it because I'm passionate about it. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Listen, it's painful. Entrepreneurship is truly, for anyone that isn't an entrepreneur or isn't an entrepreneur, the ones that are know this deeply. It's a ton of pain. Every day is pain, but there's huge moments that are so empowering and you feel so energized and fired up that they almost overpower the pain. And I always learn, one of our board members taught me a very valuable lesson. He said, whoever can withstand the most amount of pain the longest usually wins the biggest. And whatever winning is to that person, it doesn't make a difference. But what I realize is the game of entrepreneurship is, like you said, it's resilience, and it's how much pain can you actually withstand and keep going. And yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, like the amount of sacrifices I made in the last 10 years have definitely taken years off my life. And am I proud of that? Absolutely not. But am I proud of some of the stuff that we've gotten to achieve and the impact we've gotten to make? 150%. And I don't regret anything. That being said, I've had a major burnout a year and a half ago that I actually had damage from in my life, both health-wise, I believe, and just it changed who I was for forever, I think. And my sister, literally, who stepped down as CEO and took a sabbatical for a couple months ago, she's coming back now to work right now again, but she had to take time off because she burnt out too. Yeah. And it happens when you just go 24/7 and you believe so much, you're so excited, you're so fired up, you're so energized, you believe so much in what you can accomplish and build. Sometimes you forget to look at the signs that say, hey, take a second, slow down, come back. Take a second, slow down, come back.
Yeah.
Reflect, feel, re-energize, recharge your Tesla. And, I always give the analogy, it's like a car, we're like cars, except we're not machines, but we have engine lights that come on. We have flat tire lights that come on. We have low fuel tanks that come on. But sometimes we as entrepreneurs, we're going so hard that we just say, you know what, we'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. Eventually the car doesn't work. And you don't know what the damage can be, how bad your burnout can be. It could be one day, it could be an hour, it could be 10 years. It's a chemical change in your brain. I had a major issue that my brain, I started getting like major OCD and major anxiety that I never had.
Yeah.
And I had no control on it. I actually had to, I felt so unhappy, so lonely, so depressed, so empty that I've never felt that in my life, even though the business was going well and all this stuff. It's that I had this reaction happen. And it was all because I went way too hard for too long. And eventually my body told me no. That being said, is work-life balance as easy as people say? No. I think it's crazy to think that. I think that you got to do things you like. Like for now, I work out, I eat well, I sleep, I make non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And those have helped me get through and keep going and feel energized as I keep achieving. But I think that idea of saying 50-50, it's very hard for me to say that. I'm not against it. I don't judge people that have it. I haven't figured it out yet is what I think the answer is.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. And I would say me too. I'm learning to recognize the warning signs and what I can potentially do to put a roadblock in the way. And I want to kind of like chat with you about that because I think you probably learned a lot from your burnout. I think many people hear burnout, entrepreneurs, content creators, we get burned out all the time. And you're doing both. So I can't imagine how challenging that must be. But when you're a content creator, you find yourself regularly trying to run a business and create content. And people don't realize how bloody hard content creation is. And dude, you are a king, a legend, a Canadian legend of content creation. Let me just say that right off the bat.
Thank
you do
you.
it better than I say 99%. Like you're absolutely crushing it. But as somebody who's run a podcast for 300 episodes, there is a massive cost to that. And people like to think that content, once you know how to do it, it's easier. And I always throw the challenge up that actually content creation does not get easier ever. It actually gets harder every single time because you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to stay fresh and keep up with what's new and hot. And it is flipping hard. And that can definitely drive somebody to burnout. Talk to me about the balance of that. Dude, you could just stop doing content. You could just, Midday Squares is known around North America at this point. It's in every major center. We're going to talk about that. But you could just be like, you know what, I did it. But you don't. You're out there week over week, crushing it on the content. Talk to me about the balance of being a content creator and being an entrepreneur. And can you be one or the other anymore? Or is it just mandatory to be both?
You know what? I love that, Kelly. I love that you saying it. First of all, you feel it because, 300, close to 300 episodes, it's no joke. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes, care. And these take energy out of your system, right? Even the days you don't want to do it, you show up because you believe in what you're doing. And I respect that so much. For me, I think that content is critical to today's success in any business that you're going to create, because if you're providing a service or you're providing a product or a content side, you need to grab attention. Attention has become, in my opinion, one of the most valuable assets in the world. And attention is hard to get because we're overloaded with information. There's commodities everywhere. There's tons of things happening that are competing with attention. It's not just other businesses now. It's Netflix. It's social media. It's everything. It's no longer, hey, as a business, put a billboard up and get attention because no one else has anywhere to pay attention to. No, you need to earn people's right to get their attention. They need to give you hey, I want to listen to this person, or I want to listen to Kelly's podcast, or I want to watch Midday Squares' stories because I like them. I appreciate them. I respect them. There's inherent value. Today, to get attention, you can't just pay and expect to get it and put out commoditized things. Hey, my product tastes like this. It's so good. You should try it. No one cares about that. What people care about is some emotional connection. And I think that if you want to win in today's world, create a great product or service. That's number one, product market fit. But the second thing is tell a story that's meaningful. Get out there, share your story. That's what makes you different in the world. No one can copy your story. They can copy your products, they can copy your services, but they cannot copy your story because you've had millions of experiences different than I have. And that's what makes us unique other than our DNA. So I think that we as brands, we as individuals, we as career professionals, we need to share our stories more. We need to be proud of it. We need to celebrate the good and the bad. And when you do that, you create a deeper connection with the audience. You get more of an audience. You get respect level, relatability, trust. These are things you can't buy. You have to earn it. So I think that for Midday Squares and myself, is we're huge on storytelling. We're huge on vulnerability. We're huge on sharing you the biggest successes we've had, but also the ugliest moments. And when we do that, you feel closer to us. So when you go to that grocery store, that big supermarket that has 30 to 40,000 products, we're not one product out of the 30, 40,000. You're laser focused on us and you're like, I know those people. I like them. I want to buy from them because I'm a fan or I'm a friend. And that's the strategy. And it takes a lot of time. And I think burnouts come from creating that content and running a business or just creating content. It's a lot. And then to make sure that you're authentic is also a lot, right? You know, we live in a world where we're highlighting perfectionism for some reason or just the good stuff. But when you don't share the transparent conversation, it's almost like you're telling a different story of something else and you're keeping up with that. And that's a lot of energy to deplete. So I think for us, the cost of doing this whole business with the content is critical to our success of our business to continue to succeed and continue to grow. But the second part is how can we remain healthy as we do it? And we're learning that as we go. We have therapy, we have all these other things that we do, but it's quite hard.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that Midday Squares has revolutionized, and I mean this, revolutionized the way you launch a product, period. And I have to talk to you about that because before you, I've never seen anybody do it the way you've done it. And you know what? I don't really give a shit about O. Henry. I sure care a hell of a lot about Midday Squares. And I care about it because I've been following you guys for a really long time. And, you know, I want to just chat about it because actually the company itself is really, you know, we're talking, 8 years at this point? We're going on
6.5.
6. Okay. So like the fact that you've been doing this since I believe it's 2018 was the launch pre-COVID. And you took this approach. Were you thinking about this before this all started? Because I can tell you right now, I was never thinking about building Kelly Kennedy's personal brand when I launched this show. I would have been happy if Calgary listened. I wanted someone in the next town to know about me and what I was doing. I never thought we'd be listened to in 145 countries and be a top show in 41. You know, I never saw that. That was never part of the plan. Was it part of the Midday Squares plan back in 2018?
Yeah, Kelly, 100%. You know, when we launched August 4th of 2018, Midday Squares, we were making them in our condo kitchen, hand making these bars. I said to my partners, if we want to stand out, we need to get documenting and sharing the authentic story of how we build this. We cannot market our products the way that most consumer packaged goods companies market them, which is basically talk about the features, the benefits, the price, all that stuff. I said, if we want to stand out, we need to tell an emotional story. So that means, you know, showing things that companies don't often show. You know, it's more about showing the behind the scenes of how we build it. And I said to my partners, you know, them being introverts, they're like, we don't want to do that. And I said, well, guys, this will allow us to step aside from everybody else and allow us to get the growth that we needed to get. And long story short, it's been in our DNA since that moment. We've been telling the story, documenting, sharing. And, you know, we have terabytes of content from day one. And we're hopefully going to have a documentary one day showing we call it the road to 100 million of exactly what happened, when it happened, why it happened.
Wow.
And you're going to see the insides of that. And that's what people care about today is they don't just care about buying based on function or commodity. They care about, there's an emotional attachment now that comes with products and services that has never been around as much, I believe. And I think that social media is the reason for that. That being said, if you could start sharing your content, you don't have to go as aggressive as Midday Squares, but you could start sharing your story and building a brand just by starting to share some content. It doesn't have to be that you did it early on. No, it's never too late is what I'm trying to say. It's still getting started. The party's still going. Maybe it's on different platforms, but you're still having fun with it and people will still be on their phones scrolling all day and looking for something that gives them value, entertainment, education, or connectivity. So be that brand or be that individual that gives them that.
Yeah. And I have to ask because you guys were, like I said, so ahead of the curve. So ahead of the curve. Like, I don't think people even started thinking about what the hell a personal brand was until last year, 2024. That was it. That was the moment where people were like, oh shit, we need to care about this. Like, this is a real deal thing. And it's really the differentiator here as we move forward in this sea of people, products, and services, right? But for you guys to have seen that in 2018, and then obviously that led into this like immediately isolated time of COVID. Talk to me about that. Was that like a way that you could connect at that time? Did COVID play a role in your strategy?
building a community, I believe, is the best way to build trust. And when you're going through hard times, you're going through like a COVID when we lost 70% of our sales, our community supported us and they really tried to help us win, and they did. And I think that only happens when you have that connectivity. If you're just a commodity or you're just a product talking about features, they will go somewhere else, to get through those hard moments. And it works to our advantage. And look, there's moments where content also gets us in trouble too. Like, it works in both ways. But again, having a brand that's personalized or humanized is super empowering, is super powerful. It builds something stronger than just a transaction. It makes it a friendship, which I think is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, like you guys have obviously done so many things with Midday Squares. You're everywhere at this point. I want to lead into that. But before we do, I want to just talk to you like a chocolate bar, right? Like, was this your sister's idea?
Yeah.
It is Leslie, correct?
Yeah.
Shout
She
out to
created
Leslie.
Love her.
Incredible job.
Love her dearly. And she created the product 2 years prior to launching the business because she was making this as an afternoon snack for her husband, who's my other partner, my brother-in-law, Nick. Shout out to him too, brilliant guy. He was eating a little bit more sugared chocolate bars, let's call it, and she made him a healthier snack to take for the afternoon to get him through his afternoon. And this was the Midday Square, but it was a hobby snack. And then finally, she ended up closing her fashion business, and my brother-in-law sold out of what he was doing.
Yeah.
And they wanted to work together, and they realized that food was a passion of theirs. So they were making this product consistently at home, for 2 years prior, and everyone loved it. And they saw a report that came in that showed dark chocolate was growing year over year, and that protein and plant-based proteins were also growing year over year. So we just made the baby of that, and they said, "Oh, we'll commercialize this product that we're already making." And that's when they approached me in July of 2018, I think it was, to join in and say, "You're going to blow up this business, because if we're going to do something that's in the consumer packaged goods, we need to make as much noise as possible." So yeah, this product was made as a afternoon snack to give you indulgence, but also some function. So protein, fiber, and keep you full. And we knew it was a white space. And we live in the refrigerated section, which is cool too. We're fresh. We believe that's a new category in Canada, and it's already developed in the US, but it's something cool and going to be here for a long time, we believe.
That's amazing, dude. And, I just want to talk to you because obviously you said it in the beginning, jumping into the chocolate industry is an incredibly competitive industry. Had you known how competitive and hard it was going to be, would you have approached it differently in the beginning? Would you have done anything differently?
I think that we made a ton of mistakes. We self-manufacture, and that's been one of the hardest moments of our journey, and also one of the best. So I think that where we got things wrong is we were so naive, and we listened to some noise and how to build these CPG teams and all this stuff. And I think that we would have done it a little bit differently and actually trust more of our gut during the time. But look, like I said, where we really went wrong was based on just trying to explode really quickly, and it was all new information, but we learned a lot along the way, and we're super grateful for all the mistakes that we made that have led us to here. We've made more decisions that were right than decisions that were wrong, thank God. Yeah. But that's why we're still standing today. But look, failure has been part of this journey throughout, thick and thin, day in, day out, every day actually.
Talk to me about the manufacturing process. And I actually had the same conversation with Mitch Jacobson of Revita Energy.
Yeah, great guy.
With Mitch, he's incredible. But he ran into a lot of challenges when it came down to how do you get a food product to, through Health Canada to market. Can you talk to me a little bit about that process? What was that process like for people that maybe are thinking of getting a food product to market?
So I think that, look, when you start a product, like we started in our condo kitchen and we made it and we followed Health Canada's rules that were given. Obviously, the auditing process doesn't happen until you get a little bit bigger typically. But we were focused on food safety as much as we knew and as much as we could at the time. And then as we grew, we started to get major certifications and major, and because again, safety of the consumer is the most important thing for any business in food. It's the most important thing, and you need to have that so that trust is there and that you make sure that you avoid any danger for the consumer, the Canadian consumer. But when we started, we went to 26 co-manufacturers to scale our product, basically to then take our condo-made product to scale in manufacturing. And when we went to them, they told us that this product is very hard to make at scale. It's kind of like artisanal is the word, but not really. But it was like, we need to change certain things. Every time we come out a square, it'd come out as a circle, or the ingredient would change. Mm-hmm. And so we said to my partners and I said, let's just build this. Let's build our own facility. Let's invest. It's a lot of investment, but over time it will benefit us in the long term, both from an innovation control standpoint and being a manufacturer is really interesting, especially in Canada. And like I said, like it was a hard decision, but we ended up securing some debt financing from government programs, which are great for manufacturing. And we ended up building the facility, and it was all based on theoretical. None of us are engineers. We worked with engineers, but this was all based on 80% chance of working, and it ended up working, not to the 100% ability that we wanted it to. And we're going to build on that now more further as we go. But we can now get a capacity of 66 million out of our Montreal facility. And
Wow.
we're proud of that. But that took years, man. That took since the PO of the machine, it took now we're at 4+ years into that, and it's still not perfect, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But now we're BRC certified, which is great, which is one of the highest safety certifications in food manufacturing. But look, it takes time, right? And I think people in this world, unfortunately, have this idea of instant gratification. Oh, you start a product, it's got to scale, it's this, that, blah, blah, blah. No, things take time. Yes, you
Yeah.
hear about the overnight success story once in a while, but that's really rare. The usual overnight success stories are 20, 30 years, 15, 20, 30 years. And that's the overnight success in quotations.
Yeah, yeah. You only see it when it finally is big and blown up, and it looks like overnight, but it's nobody's seeing the labor of love that took it there over years and years and years of effort. I completely agree, man. I did a show the other day talking about podcasting, and honestly, I did not pull punches, man. The podcast industry is a total mess. The marketing companies in it are a mess. The whole thing is out to crush podcasters. It's a really shitty industry the way it's set up right now. But the only way you make it is through grit and determination and going through that slog. And yeah, you're seeing people blow up, but most of those shows, if you do the background, they've been at it for 5 years, man. They've been at it for 5 years. They got 500 episodes plus. That is what made them an overnight success. It wasn't oh, we released 10 shows. I'm not even sure that works for celebrities.
So I think that you're right. Overnight success is the worst thing that can happen because it basically, overnight success, in terms of the idea of it, thinking that that's how everything works is dangerous because it allows for people to think that things happen right away all the time, and they don't. Things take time, systems, places, standard processes. Greatness takes time. If you want to win big, it's going to take a long time because things compound, very small things compound over time, but eventually lead to something massive. But it takes time. And I think that Midday Squares is trying to show that we're going to hopefully grow into something really big over time, and we're going to stagger it consistently. And and it won't be an overnight success story. It will be this was built in 10, 20 years, this company. And impactful and meaningful. But at the end of the day, that was the truth, right? And anyways, long story short, congrats to your, I guess, like I said, your 298 episodes. That's a lot of work and it takes time. And once you understand that things take time, the world's your oyster. You can win so big. Patience is bliss, man. It really is.
Yeah, it really, really is. And it's a labor of love, right? That's why you have to love what you do. At the end of the day, if you don't love what you do, there's no way you'll ever become the best at it because you're going to have to put in a lot of hard, long days to make it happen on times that you don't want to do it, right? But you're absolutely right. Talk to me a little bit about that resilience because obviously you guys have been incredibly resilient. You are growing, 40 to 50% per year. That is not easy. That is absolutely challenging. Talk to me a little bit about the resilience you've had to have along the way. Have there been major hiccups in this journey for you?
100%. So, we've gone through major inflation, record-breaking inflation. We've gone through a global pandemic. We've gone through supply chain disruptions. Right now, we're going through a cocoa crisis, which is a 100-year high price point. That's one of our biggest ingredients, largest ingredients that we use. And every time this stuff happens, one thing that I know is you don't sit still. So, resilience is coming from the action that we take and having a lot of conviction in the decision that we will make. And that's what we know with crisis. Whenever we're in a crisis, or a moment of a failure or disruption that's for the negative, we just take action. And obviously strategically, we think it through. But I think that what makes a great business or a great career professional or a great entrepreneur is the ability, like I said, to withstand pain and act on it and keep going and keep fighting for what you believe in and having that conviction in the dream that you have, but also know when to stop too, when it doesn't make sense is critical as well as a company. But yeah, we've almost thrown the towel in 6 to 8 times, just moments of just pure carnage. And, I would go to bed that night thinking that was it. The party's over. And all I know is everything passes, number one, over a period of time. And at the end of the day, your identity is not your business either. You are something other than that. And I think that's important for entrepreneurs specifically to go through, is to understand that they are not just their business and their value isn't just in that. They are something valuable outside of that, which is their self, their sense of human, whoever they are. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, grit and resilience is probably a prereq for anyone starting a business or anyone trying to win in the career world. Like you can't get to the top without having that dedication, perseverance, resilience. It's impossible. Greatness takes time, and greatness takes a lot of pain, a lot of failure to get to.
Yes. And, we're in a bit of a mental health epidemic, I think. Like, not just as a country, I think, I think as a world, right?
Yep.
Like, I grew up in a world where you just toughed it out. Like, I'm Canadian. I grew up in Alberta. It was oil and gas, just get her done, right? Like,
Yeah,
that was
get
the
her done.
mentality. That was the mentality. I kid you not, from a little kid. Oh, you hurt yourself? Boo-hoo, feel better in a minute. And so I grew up in that world where I was really friggin' tough, man. Like, I got through it. I was good. I went through a lot of hell and I didn't talk about it and I didn't share it and I just dealt with it internally. And, I dealt with it later. Like, it wasn't, major trauma stuff, but it was definitely stuff that, like, as an adult, I've had to look back on and be like, you know what? That was kind of shitty. Like, I probably, probably could have been handled a little better. And I want to just talk about entrepreneur mental health with you because I know it's such a passion for you. You talk about it all the time. You've been through burnout. What mental health challenges do you think entrepreneurs are struggling with the most? And in your experience, how would you maybe help them?
I think number one is imposter syndrome is definitely a big one. So trying to put on that show is definitely a problem because that's sometimes not your authentic self. And then thinking you don't deserve to be there when you maybe do is that self-doubt is dangerous. Number two is comparison is the thief of joy, in my opinion. If you compare yourself to others, you can't do that unless you're inspired by it. So if you get annoyed by it, it will cause a lot of carnage on you. Meaning like when I first started, I used to get, this was a learning lesson, but I used to, instead of being happy for people that are doing great things, I would always be like, why not me? Why didn't I get that? And it would cause this damage and negativity, negative energy in me. And I did tons of therapy to get through that. And now I'm inspired. I want everyone to win. I want people to win because there's an abundance mindset, not a zero-sum game mindset. And then I think another thing for the entrepreneurs is they overwork. They go way too hard for too long without taking a moment to step back because they think that they can't step back. I think that stepping back is actually the most empowering and strongest thing you could do. Take one step back to go 10 steps forward. But when you go through burnout or you're going through mental health issues or experiences, I think therapy is a really good one. We're huge advocates of therapy. We go to therapy once a week, either together or individually as partners and as leaders to become better communicators, understand each other, understand perspective. Number two is knowing that this isn't your identity is critical and it will relieve pressure. And number three, I would say is surround yourself with good people that care about you, want you to win, are constructive with you, but also just real. I think that energy is critical to going on the journey and don't be afraid to speak about it because if you hold it in, the tension builds. That tension can cause absolute chaos in your system from both a health perspective, from physical health to mental health. And I think that we need to be open about this therapy. We need to be open about communicating. We need to be open about that it's okay to go through hard moments in your life. Doesn't mean you're not tough. Doesn't mean you're not great. And I'm a huge advocate for mental health. Been through hell and back. So once you go through that, you're like, okay, this is real. This isn't a joke. So that's my thing. And if anyone wants to ever chat, by the way, Kelly is listening to this, they could add me on LinkedIn, Jake Karls, and reach out to me about this stuff. I'm happy to chat and get on the call, FaceTime, hang in Montreal if you're in Montreal, and talk about it because I know that when I first went through the burnout, I wasn't talking to anybody about it. So it could have helped a lot.
Okay, I want to chat about the burnout. And the reason I want to chat about the burnout is because most people, I think if they haven't experienced it, they don't think it's real. To me and you, I know for a fact, people told us about burnout and to be careful about it and to avoid it. And both of us, I'm sure, I never completely burned out. I was able to take that step back. And for me, it was an evacuation. I evacuated the household. We went on vacation. I was like, we just need to get out. I need a reset. So thank God. But I've hit that wall many, many times where I know that if I pushed any further, I was going to be in some serious trouble. And here's the shitty thing, Jake. I suck at it. I really suck at it because I keep finding myself right back there over and over again as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, because I do want to win. I do want to succeed, right? We're not at 300 episodes because I don't want to make it. We're at 300 episodes because I'm going to make it to 1,000. You know what I mean? I'm going. But yeah, it takes a lot of resilience. It has a lot of hard days. There's plenty of times where I've really hit the wall. I put in, way too many 18, 20-hour days in a row. And my body's just like, Kelly, you're going to die.
Yep. Yeah.
Talk to me about what were the symptoms of your burnout? What was the path of the burnout? And at what point were you like, did you really feel like you had no choice but to do something about it?
I think the symptoms were lethargia, not being inspired, feeling lonely, tired, all this fatigue, like consistent fatigue, chronic fatigue, I think was the most thing. And then not being excited about life, let's call it. And my work was I had brain fog all the time when I was working. And I think what led up to it was I had all this hype and all this wins and all this momentum, and I didn't want to lose it. I was fearful of losing it. So I was doing everything to keep it, to chase more attention, to chase more awards, chase more, which isn't who I am, but I was on that path. So it was taking me off my path, which was causing the carnage. And then I ended up playing hockey one day, and I was playing outside because I love hockey. It releases stress, and I took a wrist shot and I fell in a weird way, and I hurt my back, and it was the strangest injury. And then it physically, I was mentally in a weird place. I was stressed, and then I physically got hurt. And then identity, I started to think was, oh my God, am I going to lose it? I'm physically injured. I can't get somewhere. I'm always need to be physical, and then that brought me down a worse spiral. And then I couldn't get out of it, and it just got bad. My injury got bad. And then I started to worry about everything in my life. Like everything started becoming like a worry, and OCD started coming that I never had before. I had electric shocks going down my body. I thought I was dying.
Wow.
Like there was this weird, I had no control. I had no control. So then I took 40 days off. I did a ton of therapy. I did a ton of stuff, osteos, and hypnosis. I did everything you could imagine.
Yeah.
And it took time, but I got myself back up. I needed rest. I needed to understand a little bit more about my purpose again and bring it back to that. And then I needed to understand that, health is serious. Like it's not a joke, and burnout is real, I guess. Now I try to talk about it a lot to help others, but at the end of the day, like, look, this is real, and you got to be careful because it affected me for, let's say, a total of a couple of months. At the end, it was 40 days out, but it was a couple of months of actual effects.
Yeah.
But some people, it could be way longer or it could be way shorter. Again, it's how your body reacts.
I've heard of people ending up in hospital, man.
Yeah.
I've heard of burnout putting people right in the hospital, like just completely out of commission. And it's crazy because I think many entrepreneurs, we don't actually think it's real. Like we're just like, oh, it's bullshit.
Well, you never think it's going to happen to you. You never think
Yeah.
it's going to happen to yourself, right? And then it does. And look, the only way I could say you could avoid it is understand the signs and then create a great support and take time for yourself. Like, if you need to take a trip to, a drive for an hour during 2 o'clock in the day, go. If you need to, if you need to take time off, like you just do it. Like it won't go anywhere. Yes, there might be a little bit of damage or whatever, but at the end of the day, like we're building our business so that we want to be as irrelevant as possible in the day to day, and we're becoming more irrelevant. My partners and I, our team is so strong that they're great. The team we have now, they're building this business, and that gives us time to kind of like reflect, recharge, build back, so we come really strong to everything we get to do. Right. So just be aware for anyone that's listening to this episode. Just be aware and don't be afraid to share with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned hypnotherapy. Can we talk about that really quick?
Yeah. Dude, not a medical advice here, but and this is not medical advice to anyone, but it worked really well for me. Basically, I had so much OCD and anxiety that came out of nowhere, right? So I would literally would think I'd burn my hand and it would be 3rd degree when I wouldn't even burn it. I went through a crazy psychological thing that I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I was on a treadmill one day walking because I needed to get exercise. And this is after I got injured after the burnout. And this lady next to me on the treadmill said, she had a friend that hurt her back too. And long story short, the only thing that worked for him was hypnosis. So I was like, that sounds crazy. So she's like, just try it. So I tried it, skeptical. And I went to 15 sessions over a period of 10 months or so. And a lot of my OCDs, I'd say 90% have gone volume down completely. And there's still 10% little bit here and there, but I live my life. I control, which is so strange. I never thought that would be a case, but it worked. And again, it's not medical advice for anybody, but it did work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's incredible. What is next for Midday Squares?
Oh, dude, we're global expansion, number one. Number two is we're launching an innovation. By the time this episode comes out, there will be a new innovation that's a non-cocoa product. So right now we have all chocolate products.
Yeah.
But we're working on a really cool afternoon snack that's non-cocoa. I don't want to announce it yet, but it's epic and it's indulgence with function, protein, fiber. So get ready. It is going to be insane.
Amazing. Amazing. I will be I'll write about it when we launch this because I will have tried it by then and I'll be able to give my comments on it, hopefully if it's out by this time next year. And last but not least, dude, you're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs. I think you've helped a lot on the mental health aspect, on the mental health aspects. I can't talk. And the inspiration. But if you could just give one incredible piece of advice to these people from your journey, what might that be?
Lean into yourself because you are your greatest superpower. and no one could be you other than you. Take that and use that to your advantage rather than being afraid of it.
Amazing. Amazing. Jake, it's been an incredible honor to have you on the show. I'm a huge fan. I will continue to be a fan for a long time. Midday Squares is amazing. You're an incredible Canadian entrepreneur, and you are leading it in the personal branding space for Canadians. And I just want to thank you for that.
Kelly, you're a rock star. Thanks for having me on the show. And thanks to all the listeners that listened. Keep rocking, keep being amazing, and never stop being bold.
Amazing. Until next time, you've been listening to the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Hey, rock stars, if your fab shop's overwhelmed or your supplier's missing deadlines, that's not just frustrating, it's costing you real money. That's why you call HyperFab. Based in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and trusted across North America, they deliver custom metal fabrication for industries where precision and speed matter most. Construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and agriculture. From fiber laser cutting and CNC bending to welding, assembly, and finishing, they do it all in-house with fast turnarounds, tight tolerances, and no handoffs. One prototype, full production, no problem. HyperFab shows up when others can't and delivers when others don't. Head to www.hyperfab.com or call Colin Harms at 1-403-308-3308. Fabrication without compromise. That's the HyperFab edge.